Take me out to California.
Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. My name's Holly and this channel is largely about positive mindset, self-development, how we can be our best selves and how do we cope with this chaotic world that we live in and still feel good even when chaos is happening around us. And I also share some bits about my family life, my own personal experiences, my daughters, being a mom, all of that kind of stuff as well. In this particular video, we are going to be talking about bullying, and it is anti-bullying week here in the UK, or it has been anti-bullying week. And so I thought I'd just kind of delve into this topic and let you know my thoughts on this, and I guess what to do if you are experiencing that in this moment. My personal experience of bullying was a whole long time ago. So when I was in secondary school, as is probably the case for a lot of people, I guess it's usually when you're younger, but not always is the case. And for those of you who've watched this channel for a while, this may be a nauseating fact, I'm telling you, but I grew up on television. I was an actress for many, many years, and from the ages of 11 to what was I? Hang on, 19, 18, 17, I don't know, late teens. So all of my sort of early years, I was on television, and there was no hoity-toity, lovely drama school where we all went and we did performing arts, and then we went to a lovely school and it was like fame. No, I went to a normal working class school in the northeast of England, and then I would leave school and be on television. I would go and film, and then I would come back to school some days. So there was a bit of a platform for me, which meant that, as is always the case, if you stand out in any way in school when you're younger, it tends to be that other children will find a way to pick on that or make fun of that in some way. Not always the case, but it can be a way that happens, and for me it certainly was. The difference, I think, was that because I was in the perceived popular group, it was probably not dealt with in the best way, because it was seen that, well, she's quite confident, even though on the inside I was like a wreck. The teachers didn't necessarily deal with it at all. In fact, they didn't deal with it at all. So it was quite constant. My only saving grace really was that I could leave and be filming, and I had another thing. So that's really actually very important. I think if you're a parent who has children that are going through bullying at school, trying to find that they have another outlet where they have other friends outside of school is actually very, very important. And it was definitely the thing that got me through, that I knew that I had friends at drama classes or dance classes, or when I was on set and when I was filming with the rest of the cast, and we were all very much experiencing the same thing in the cast. So there was always that camaraderie, that there was this common ground, that we were all experiencing the same thing. So yeah, my experience, and it was pretty, I mean, it was pretty bad. There was days when I used to hide, and I am absolutely not a fighting person. I mean, I'm 5'1" and I'm a tiny human being, and I think it would be, I wouldn't fare well. I mean, I'd give it a go, but I wouldn't fare very well. So and I certainly don't have that in me. I'm not that kind of person at all. So when I was younger, I was even less so. I've had like one fight in my whole life, and that was not to defend myself at all. It was defending my sister. So it's just not in me. So I was always very scared of fighting, and there was a lot of scrapping at my school. And I was very much, every Monday morning I would walk into school and it would be, someone would want to try and what we call pull me. Not pull as in go out with, we see you getting pulled about something, pulled up basically about something. Someone would want to pull me about something that I was supposed to have done or whatever, and I didn't, if I'm honest. Certainly my latter years in school I really didn't enjoy because of this. But I always knew that there was something else. Now, as I've grown up, I haven't experienced bullying ever as an adult. And I think that's, largely adults don't behave this way. That's not always true. There are some adults that never really grow up and still continue to behave in an awful way. But it's less prevalent as an adult. But also I think it's because absolutely no chance would I allow that into my space. Now, this doesn't mean that if you are experiencing this as an adult or as a child, that there's any kind of blame. I'm not saying you've brought this on yourself, but what I am saying, there are things that we can do and there are boundaries that we can put in place that mean people will at least think twice before messing with you. So let's look at why people bully. Like, people who bully other people aren't happy. Let's just put that out there. Nobody who bullies somebody else is in a good space. Now, even though we're going to have some understanding of where people are coming from, that doesn't mean that we accept it. That doesn't mean that I'm saying, well, it's okay because they've had a really hard life. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying it for is for you, so that you can understand that the person that's giving you grief, the person that's being an arsehole to you, isn't in a good space. Because confident, happy people don't feel the need to pick on other people. It's just not the way it is. It just doesn't make any sense. So if you are dealing with somebody that's being an arsehole in whatever form that takes, and they're picking on you or they're singling you out, they, inside them, feel a lack. They feel that they are not good enough. They feel that their way of being able to deal with what they have going on and around their life is to bring you down to their level. So I actually think that in knowing that, regardless of what they bring to the table, just knowing that that person is unhappy in some way, and that's why they have to behave the way that they behave, gives you a sense of pity for that person, which alleviates some of the anger and frustration that you might feel. It's just something to think about, because nobody behaves like that if they're happy and content with their lives. Nobody picks on other people. It's a very awful behaviour. I mean, I kind of feel like we shouldn't have to be discussing this anymore. Just don't be a dickhead. Don't be a dickhead. Just try not to be a dickhead to other people. The other side of it, though, is that, as I was saying, we as people cannot control anybody else. Okay, we cannot control what they do, we cannot control how they behave, but we can control our own reaction. So we need to put boundaries in place, and putting boundaries in place means letting people know that I will not accept this, I will accept this, don't even attempt to try that. And when those boundaries are clear, and it doesn't mean you have to do that in an aggressive way. I was joking when I did that. It doesn't mean it has to be an aggressive or confrontational. It just has to be, nope, that's not going to happen. Yes, this can happen. And just being very clear about what you will and won't accept. So if it's things like in a workplace, I mean, there are definitely structures in place in a workplace where, workplace bullying is dealt with a lot better than it ever has been. But of course, it's still going to get through in some ways. But then you have to, again, go back to going, okay, well, I'm not going to keep doing that bit of work for that person. I'm not going to keep staying late because that person asks me to stay late. I'm not going to do that because this is what I accept and this is what I won't accept. But that's down to you. So I always talk to my daughters about the same thing, when they have fallouts with their friends and such. I will always say, okay, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because you can't control what that other person brings to the table. You can control how you respond to that. And that's it, simply that. Now, again, I'm not talking about, if anybody's in a situation where they're experiencing physical violence or real abuse in any form, then move yourself away from that situation. And always, always, always do seek help. Do ask, do confide in people around you, people closest to you. I am not going to, if you message below this, I'm not going to be able to counsel you through your bullying. I've done a video on bullying before and I get so many messages and I absolutely care. But I can't individually message you, otherwise I'd spend my whole day responding to YouTube video messages about their bullying, and I genuinely care, but I want you to reach out to people closest to you to speak through what's going on, because certainly talking it through with other people will help that. If you are younger and you're watching this video, then of course speak to an adult, speak to a grown-up, confide in somebody, because it isn't acceptable. And it isn't, if somebody's deliberately going out of their way to make your life difficult, then no, it's not acceptable. But there are things in place to stop that. I know that seems, especially when you're younger, I mean, I'm actually talking large about adults now, but especially when you're younger, you are very much, you have to go to school, so it can feel really, really big and you feel like it's never ending. Let me tell you, if you're watching this and you are younger, Those people that gave me grief at school pretend to be my friends now on social media, and they pretend that they were like mates with me at school, and their lives are very dull, and I don't even feel good about that. I just feel like that's a shame that they live their lives in that way. That's it. I don't see them, I don't care to see them, and that's it. We move on with our lives. It feels really big when you're in it, but honestly, I promise you now, keep walking through that, and eventually you will have the last laugh. You will have your space and your time when you just get to be around your own people, your own tribe, and you don't have to deal with those people. But going forward, I'm talking about you as an adult, and if you are experiencing this at work or within your friendship circles, and there are always people that, you know, will push the boundaries, you need to look at where you can change your reaction. Not about blame of yourself, not about going, well, I'm a weak person, so that's what Holly's saying. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we need to learn, and again, it's practice. We need to learn to put some things in place, because for whatever reason, these people think it's okay that you will accept it. You will accept being pushed to your limit. Sometimes they don't even know that what they're doing is affecting you in that way. So in the initial instance, maybe having a proper conversation, which might feel confrontational to you, but it doesn't need to. Just a very direct conversation where you go, that's not going to happen again, and this is where we draw the line. Having that conversation can actually open up the fact that they may well not even push those boundaries anymore, because they might think, oh, okay, Gemma's just drawn a line under what was going on before, and I don't know what she's going to do if I push through that, and I continue with this behavior. If you then seek help at work through people who are higher up in the food chain, your bosses or whatever, or your peers even, you might be able to come up with a resolution in that way as well. But largely we don't get to control other people. We just get to control our reaction to it. So we need to look at what we can be doing. How can we build our self-esteem so we don't attract these people into our worlds? Because when we have low self-esteem, when we don't believe in ourselves, we don't think we deserve nice things, then ultimately, unfortunately, we attract the people into our worlds that reaffirm that. Our brains run on something called confirmation bias, which means we like to be right, we like to be proven right. So if you've been feeding in this idea that you're not enough, you don't deserve any good things, and you're weak and small and you're not good enough, then what you put out to the universe is you want to meet more people that confirm that. You want to see more things that confirm that. It's the way our brains process information. So if you can work on you and your self-confidence, your self-belief, then you will stop attracting those people into your world. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Really good example of this is when I lived in Newcastle and I'd just finished school, and I was still in the headspace of not truly believing in myself, and I'd just experienced people bullying me in some form. I'm always reluctant to say bullying, because I always just think sometimes it's just incidents, not long-term bullying, but we'll use that word. And when I was in Newcastle, I just left school, I was going out to in nightclubs and bars, and I would still get people from school. I was still attracting them into my world who would want to fight me in the middle of bars, and it was awful. When I moved to Essex and London when I was 18, when I was 19, I think, when I eventually properly moved, it didn't happen again. And I think it was just a shift in mindset, that it was almost like a new version of me, a new space, a new version, and it just never happened again. And it was, I really do think, I really put it down to the fact that I changed, that I was like, no, I'm an adult, this is not going to happen anymore. I'm out of where I used to live, this is never going to happen, and I truly believed it wasn't, so it didn't. So that is my thoughts on bullying. There is always going to be people in this world we don't get on with. That's okay. You can tolerate people, you can inside, you can chuckle to yourself and think that person's a knobhead, but you don't have to be triggered by every incident. You also don't have to balloon or exaggerate things into being called bullying when it's just a shitty incident where someone was a knob, because sometimes that's all it is. And if you make it bigger and say this person's picking on me, you'll zoom into that person's actions and then start to worry that everything that they're doing is about you, and it's probably not. So I'm not saying this for the people that are out there walking around being knobheads. I'm saying it for you. And if you're feeling like you're getting this from somewhere, set some boundaries. If anybody's being physically or really mentally abusive, get the fuck out of there. Seek help. If you need to. Reach out to your peers, to people who care about you, to those higher up in the pecking order at work or at school, grown-ups if you're a young person watching this. And if you are, turn it off. I'm swearing in this video. And yeah, what else do I say? Change your reaction, change your reaction to it, and don't allow these people into your world. And the way you do that is by building your self-esteem. When you build your self-esteem, you'll feel good enough, and you will feel that you deserve to be treated with respect, and it will start to happen, truthfully. Anyway, don't be a dick. Be nice to people, be kind, do what you can, and all will be good in the world. Peace out.
Take me out to California.